If you're hurt, injured, don't waste time. Gary Johnson cries for every dime.
Welcome to Simply the Law, a program created by attorney Gary C. Johnson. Simply the Law provides free legal advice and encourages happiness and quality of life. Now, here's Simply the Law with Gary C. Johnson. Hello, everyone. Welcome into Simply Law. I'm Keith Casewell. I can't help it. My buddy's got me laughing here before the show because I am starting to understand more of the wisdom that he shares with me. I'll put it to you that way.
Hi, guys and gals. How you doing? Isn't it wonderful to just be alive? Gosh, this is so good. I'm thrilled to be here with you. And I hope it's okay with you that we're with you. Thank you so much for letting us join you. It is an honor for both Keith and myself to hang out with you guys for a few minutes. Hopefully we'll share something with you that is a little bit of benefit to you. And this week, believe it or not, Keith has not broke any of the agreements. He told me yesterday he hadn't broke a single one of them. He's been impeccable with the word.
Yes.
He's not assumed anything. He's
true.
not taken anything personal.
Absolutely.
And he's done his best and not worried about what anyone else did. Right, Keith?
I did that for 60 seconds. It was on last Wednesday.
And he's lost his pound.
I have lost a pound, but now let me explain that. I weighed the next day and I'd gained it back, but then I lost it again. So I'm still working on that.
See, that's the problem with that pound a month.
Oh, and I got to tell you this. By the way, I donate blood, and I went to the blood center to donate blood. So look, they're taking my blood, and the guy said, "Tell Gary you lose a pound with this donation." So even when I go to donate, they know that you've got me losing a pound.
Can you believe that, how he would cheat? That he would go give blood to try to get the pound loss?
Hey, it worked.
Now, Keith, that's low.
It worked. Listen, that's a good start. It's a good start.
So he's going to give a pound of blood a month
For 10 months.
to try to get his 10 pounds off.
I'm going to have to wear some makeup because I'm going to look pale by the time we get to December.
I didn't mean for you to go to that length. I really didn't. I ran into some folks the other day. This lady looked at me and she says, "You know, actually you're more handsome in person than you are on TV." And I looked at her and I said, "That's just not possible." The other lady looked at me and said, "You don't weigh as much and it appears in person as you do on TV." I said, "Oh, that TV puts a lot of weight on you."
20 or 30 pounds.
Oh, at least.
Maybe more. Maybe more.
So see all that weight? Yeah. How you guys doing? You doing good? Not fighting with each other, right? None of you? You're showing honest appreciation. By the way, I read an article that said that it enhances your happiness. I meant to bring it and read some of it to you and I forgot. Maybe I can remember to do it sometime in the future, I'm hoping. Where it says you actually enhance your own happiness when you train yourself to be grateful. That when you literally take time every day to write down and think of some things that you are grateful for and let people know it, that you will start finding yourself being happier. So folks, you might try it and start right now. What do you say? Look over and say, "Thank you for being there. I'm so grateful you're here." Come on. Just a little bit.
Gary, I got to tell you something. You and I talked about this a little bit on the radio the other day, but since you have so kindly pointed out all the things that people do for us in the service world, I told you about being in line the other day and I saw somebody getting very upset because they were having to wait just a little bit. And all I could do was stand there and think about what you have told us. How grateful you should be for the person who is standing there 8 hours on their feet, doing that job to make sure that we can have the convenience of checking out and getting our items put into the bag. And it made me feel really, really bad that this individual was having a little bit of a hissy fit because they were having to wait an extra 30 seconds.
We lose sight. We really do. It's easy to do. It's easy to become so self-centered about us. I was thinking about one of our politicians that's been around a long, long time the other day. And I said to myself, you know, if I had a slogan that I was going to put on that politician, and I'm not going to mention their name because I don't get involved in politics, it'd be this. He started out with the promises he was going to take care of them, and in the end, he took care of him.
And it should be just the opposite, right?
That's right. And that's what happens so many times. We get self-centered on ourselves, and we get to thinking about I and we and us, and we lose sight of all the wonderful people around us that need some attention, that need to understand and be told how important they are. Because trust me, my friends, if we didn't have somebody doing every single job, if I didn't have this gentleman behind this camera right now, I couldn't be on this program. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because it's true. Vitally important. Everyone that's doing a job that makes things happen are equally important. Just that every time you get up every morning and go do a job, you are equally important to anyone else in the world. Thank God everyone's not doctors and accountants, and especially politicians.
So Gary, let me ask you, when you're pointing this out, does this go back to the old saying, if you'll make sure that everyone around you gets what they need, you'll end up with what you want? You're saying that in sincere appreciation. If you're giving this sincere appreciation and you're being thankful for everyone around you, you'll end up with sincere appreciation and thanks that you're around.
Well, you won't have a bit of trouble giving sincere appreciation if you'll take a minute to think. And what I'm saying is think, what would I do without them? Where would I be? How could I get anything done without these people? Then you'll understand what keeps these lights up, what keeps the electricity on, what keeps the garbage picked up, what keeps the water flowing. All of those things, we have someone doing it. Who stocks the groceries in the grocery store? Is it magic? No. It's a human being doing a vital thing that we need desperately. Who's the waitresses that wait on us? Who's the people that cook the food that they bring to our tables? Who's the people that manage those places, those stores? Who's the people that put those clothes on the racks that we just assume that are there, that are so neat for us to look at? It's not magic, it's human beings. It's important human beings that are part of our lives that we take for granted.
Are you in a very kind way of saying we could be spoiled with all of this nice treatment that we're getting?
That's right.
That we're taking it for granted?
But my friends, we're not going to take it for granted anymore, are we? Nope, we're not. When you go out, you're going to be grateful and you're going to be thankful and you're going to tell the people. You're going to say, thank you for being here. Thank you for working. Thank you for checking me out. Thank you for waiting on me. I appreciate it, right? Won't hurt you. You may make somebody's day. Okay? Let's take a break and we'll come right back and go to the computer.
You know, anytime Gary opens up the program, I always have this one thought in my head. It feels good to feel good. And when he starts telling us this information, it's hard not to feel good. Stay with us. We've got a lot planned for you in this program. Simply the Law with Gary C. Johnson, right after you see this.
You notice on the legal advertisement of lawyers that they've made verdicts an issue? Well, guess what? This old boy from Eastern Kentucky's got the largest verdict in the state of Kentucky, and nobody's even come close to it. Over my career, I've got my clients verdicts of over $315 million. Yep, I'm glad they made verdicts an issue. Check my record and I'll bet you decide it might be wise to give old Gary a call.
Welcome back into Simply the Law. We're ready to find out some information and learn.
It is a wonderful life, and I'm going to talk to you about how you may prolong it a little bit, or at least keep somebody from taking it away from you on the rest of the program, okay? Let's go to the computer. By the way, we have a lot of friends in Lexington that may not know it, that I have put in a law office in Lexington, and there it is out on Executive Drive, right off of the interstate off of Man of War. And there's my Lexington number, and if any of you are in Lexington, come by and visit us. We've got a full staff there, and there's our Lexington office. There's our number, 859-268-4300. Would love to see you. And I'm there quite often, believe it or not. Okay?
Very important too, Gary, because I'm glad you brought this up, because we have so many people that travel those highways, and we know how dangerous they are. They're either going to the UK games, they're going to shopping, school, different things, health-related, whatever it may be, but we have a lot of individuals that travel from here to Lexington that may have not known that you could be of help in that area.
Well, I found that a lot of our friends over a period of time have called us that are in Georgetown, Richmond, and those areas that are in wrecks. And we've ended up representing them, and I finally figured out I probably need to put an office down there. So I did. So we've got an office there. I just wanted to let you folks know it. And if you want to call us here in Eastern Kentucky, again, there's our number. And again, our primary office is still in Eastern Kentucky. You want to the website's GaryCJohnson.com. In general, please make sure you have underinsurance that protects you and your family. Arbitration, if you're going into a hospital or nursing home, don't sign the arbitration agreement. Just don't do it. Now, here's what I was talking about, maybe prolonging your life a little bit that you might need to know, folks. This is the Institute of Medicine report. This report found errors accounted for as many as 210,000 up to 440,000 deaths a year in hospitals from negligence.
Wait a minute. Let's say that number again. 210,000 to 440,000.
A death from medical negligence.
Gary, if there was anything else that had those figures to it that we would be talking about right now, would it become an epidemic? How would you label anything that would be causing that severe of a death toll?
Well, I don't know. That's not my figures. I didn't come up with that. That's not lawyers' figures. That was produced by, I got some more figures on there. Let's go back to the computer.
Okay.
John Hopkins actually did one. Analyzing medical death rate data over an 8-year period, John Hopkins University patient safety experts have calculated that more than 250,000 deaths per year are due to medical error in the United States. That's John Hopkins. They just reported this, okay? Now that's a lot of people getting killed because of mistakes.
We're not talking injuries.
We're not talking injuries, we're talking medical mistakes. National Academy of Science, the error is human, building a safer health system. Diagnostic errors, they have the wrong diagnosis. The failure to act on the results of testing, they don't look at it. Use of the wrong test. Performance of operations or procedures. The wrong drug or the wrong drug dosage. delay in responding to the test, again, not looking at the test, failure to provide prescribed treatment, failure to follow and monitor treatment. Other areas are failure to communicate by healthcare providers. They don't talk to each other.
Wait a minute, before we go to other areas, let's talk about the word that you had up there on the other ones. It said preventable.
These are preventable. All of these are preventable.
So right now our friends are watching this and they're saying, okay, Gary, you've scared the daylights out of me. I mean, what do I do now? If I've got a problem and I'm sick, do I not go to the hospital? Do I stay home? Do I take my chances? Certainly that's not the answer, but there's got to be a way to protect yourself.
I'm going to get to that.
Oh, see?
Keith,
just in case everyone doesn't know, he
let's
never
take
tells...
a break and then we'll come back and I'll get to that. How's that?
Okay. He never tells me what the show is about. So if I ask questions that he has the answers to already, now you know why I asked the question. All right, stay with us. You'll learn as I learn. Simply the Law continues with Gary Johnson right after this.
I'm attorney Gary C. Johnson. I hate these commercials as bad as you do. I have no choice if I want to let you know that I'm in the business of practicing law, representing injured people, except to do this commercial. I don't fish, I don't golf, I get money for injured people. Check my record, go to GaryCJohnson.com, and I'll bet you if you've been hurt, you might want to give me a call.
Welcome back to Simply the Law. Now, why did I go ahead and ask that question for the break? I should have known you already had the answer.
Well, I don't have much of an answer, but I've got some recommendations for you, okay? And here's the recommendation. Let's go back to the computer. The last one on this other areas is the equipment failed. Okay. You must be active in your own health care. Literally, you must be tremendously, if you're in the hospital, proactive. You have to have an advocate there for yourself. How can you help your doctor make the right diagnosis? Literally. List of your medications. Make absolutely certain when you go in the hospital that you have a list that you hand them and make sure they write it down. Honestly, you don't know if they're even going to write on your chart what your medications are. Everything is electronic anymore, and it is terrible. I want to talk to you about that, not going electronic records. If there's anything that's happened in the last few years in this country that I think is terrible, and it come about through this healthcare reform that's been at, it's these electronic records where they go in and they click these boxes. They are totally inaccurate. You cannot rely on them anymore. I get clients' records and I will go over those records with them and they'll look at them and say, that's not true. They're just not right. They're not accurate.
So are you saying this is the electronic device, much like when I text, I'll text the wrong
number? So when someone's sitting there asking you questions and they got that screen in front of you, have an advocate with you if you're too sick to make sure they're being accurate. Make sure they're accurate on the boxes and the things they're checking on that computer. It's critical because then that's in that computer forever. And if it's not put in there accurately, diagnoses will be made in the future that could cause them to kill you based on inaccurate information being put in that computer when you first go into the hospital. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to have somebody with you if you're sick. They're with you to make sure that when they're typing that stuff in, that information that's going into that electronic record is accurate. And it is accurate in regard to your history.
Gary, it almost sounds like whether you have a condition or not, because you could be in an accident, that you need to make this checklist, put the medicines down, and then put the name of your advocate and their cell number and say, call immediately and make sure they get to me.
I had one come in the other day where this woman was rear-ended. Police report says rear-ended. Hospital record said, patient hit a tree.
I don't mean to laugh at that, but that's so far away from what happened.
That's as far away from what happened as you can get, but yet there it is in the record, patient hit a tree. Now, how do you deal with that? Or there was one where this fellow got hurt down south, and he was stuck with it, and it cost him a lot of money. It wasn't my client, it was somebody else's client, and it really ruined him. He was hit in a wreck, this guy was, and he was telling me about it. He gets into the emergency room, and they put in there, fell at home. Well, there went his case where he got hit in the wreck.
Because
he couldn't get away from that.
So even though that was a mistake,
yeah.
Here the defense comes out and says, we've got a medical record that this person
says he told these people, and then what's the hospital going to do? Oh yeah, this is accurate. Well, they aren't accurate, and that's what I'm saying. You got to be an advocate. You got to make certain that information that's going into that computer when they start, that it's accurate. And because those electronic records, they are a nightmare in this day and time. And the people that are doing the electronic records and are trying to keep them will tell you they are. There's no secret. I'm not telling you anything, it's a secret. It's a fact. The electronic records are the worst thing, in my opinion, that's ever happened as far as providing good medical care for patients. And it was allegedly, supposedly, to streamline it so that people could get good care. I call it, somebody told me the other day, well, I'm not going to use the word they had for it, but.
It wasn't flattering.
It was not flattering.
Okay.
Let's go back to the computer for a minute. Okay. Make a notebook of your medical history and keep it with you, especially if you've got medical problems. Because if you're sick, you're not going to remember it. Again, they have to have an accurate history if they're going to be able to treat you. Literally, you're at war when you go in there to save your life. And I'm telling you how to do the battle to save your life when you're going into the hospital. You think I'm crazy, it's not. You saw the statistics on how many die on the battlefield. Tell your doctor everything. They've got to know or they cannot treat you, and doctors are busy. They're really busy. And if they don't know everything, they cannot make a decision. And if they make a decision based on almost no information, it may very well be the wrong one, and you will end up paying the price. Take all the tests the doctor recommends and follow all the instructions for the test. Critically important. Don't say, well, I'm not going to go do this test. I don't really need it. You follow the instructions. Take someone to the doctor with you to help explain the problems that you have and to help remember the doctor's instructions, and ask them to take a pad with them and write them down, because our memories fail us. And especially if you're sick, you're not going to remember half of what the doctors tell you. This is important. Again, you're at war. You're trying to save your life here, literally.
You are
Let's take our last break and come right back.
You're 100% right about this, and I'll talk to it when we come back. But let's take our final break. We'll be back to close out the program. This is Simply the Law with Gary C. Johnson.
Insurance companies will test lawyers to see if they know what they're doing. Luckily, they tested me. And because of that, over the years, I've been able to get verdicts for my clients in excess of $315 million in the state of Kentucky, most of which are just in eastern Kentucky. We proved we know what we're doing. We proved we can go in front of a jury. And guess what? Most of my cases settle now. Wonder why? Give us a call.
Welcome back to Simply the Law. Gary, when you were making that last point, I was thinking about a year ago, I had to take my mother to the doctor along with my father. The three of us were there, but my mother was pretty sick. So a couple of days after the visit, she was trying to recall some of the instructions that the doctor had given. But remind you, again, she was really ill at the time. Everything that she remembered was basically wrong. But that's because she was so ill. Had she not had someone there with her to say, that's not what the doctor said, that's not what he wanted you to do, she could have been in a lot of trouble. You're 100% correct.
I can't emphasize that enough to you. That's why it's so important to try to make sure you have people in your life, people that care for you. That's why you look over and say, thank you for being in my life. To the people that's in the room with you right now. You need each other. Whenever you get sick, you desperately need each other. You don't really realize how bad. And you need to be an advocate for each other. And you need to appreciate each other. So much, so much. You really do. And guess what? You'll be much happier if you do. You really will.
Well, and what you're talking about, this person could literally be saving your life. They're as important as the doctor is because they're going to help you with the instructions.
They're the sniper that's got your back.
Yeah.
They really are. Because when you look at those statistics, they are real. I didn't make them up. You can Google them and check them to see if I'm accurate. They're real.
Now, one point that you haven't covered, you put out the 210,000 to 450,000, but you started off with you don't want to sign an arbitration agreement. I'm guessing you're going to bring that together right now.
Guess what? Any of those people signed an arbitration agreement, their families would have got 0. But, therefore, don't sign an arbitration agreement. Period. In case they kill you. Okay?
Wow. I mean, that's what we started out with. Now you know the dangers.
But now, my friends, you're not going to let that happen to you. You're going to have an advocate. You're going to be on your toes. You're going to watch what you're doing. You're going to make sure they get all your information in there. You're not going to just be passive. You're going to make sure that those records are accurate. You're going to make sure you take all the tests. You're going to be an advocate for yourself, and you're going to have somebody else there being an advocate for you. And if you make somebody a little bit mad, so be it. It's rather to have somebody else mad than you did. Okay? No comparison. Trust me, none whatsoever.
I am completely in agreement. My friend, I will say this much. Right here is the best advocate we got because he's giving you the information you need so that you can be happy and enjoy this life. Thank you, my friend. On behalf of Gary C. Johnson, I'm Keith Casebolt. Thank you so much for taking this time to tune in to Simply the Law. As always, Gary and I look forward to seeing you again next week, right here at this very same time.
Thank you for watching Simply the Law, a program created by Gary C. Johnson. Until next week, may you be safe, blessed, and happy.